Nuclear power. Nuclear power. What's the first image that comes to your mind when I say that? You might think something like this. That's the common image that the media has given you to think about when you hear anything about nuclear power, nuclear energy. When in actuality, what I think about when I hear about nuclear power is this. A trained operator with years of experience and skill and education safely monitoring and operating an electric power plant. When I go into Google, I wanted to know what most other people thought about when they heard nuclear energy. The atomic bomb image was one of them, and the other was an image like this. The classical cooling tower with the white gas coming out the top, and some imagery of some gravestones at the bottom, as if this power plant was killing people around it. This whole image is a lot of falsities. These cooling towers are actually from a coal power plant, and these cooling towers can be used in a nuclear power plant. The white gas at the top is merely water moisture, the same water that was in the air when it came in the bottom of the tower. It's just that it cooled and came at the top in a more visible form. And the fact that you can impress that people have died because of nuclear power is 100% wrong. In fact, no one has ever died as a result of nuclear power in the United States in the entirety of its existence since the 1940s. You don't even have to have a cooling tower for a nuclear power plant. Here's another image I think of, the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant in California. No cooling towers, set on the edge of a beach on Highway 1, pristine location. These are the images I think about as I have educated myself and worked around nuclear power for a very long time. When I say that nuclear power is safe, I mean it has a stellar track record. No one has ever died as a result of a nuclear power operation. In the entire history of the world, only 31 people have died because of nuclear power, and that was the Chernobyl accident. The fact is that we have so many safeguards and safety regulations in place in order to try to debunk the myths and the media influence that we have, that's become the safest form of power. In fact, nuclear power is safer than hydro or wind. In fact, 6,400 deaths a year are contributed to coal power plants, and 4,000 people have died since 1970 because of hydro, according to the International Atomic Conservation Agency. And when we think about radiation, no one has ever been exposed to radiation outside of a power plant in the United States. However, coal-fired power plants throughout the world are major sources of radioactive materials, as found out by the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in February of 2008. Coal power plants, when they burn, actually emit uranium, thorium, and radium, and they spew it into the atmosphere. This then floats across thousands of miles and gets inhaled by occupants like you and me. Yet no one raises a stink about it because there's no movies about people dying from inhaling coal power plant fumes. In addition to being safe, nuclear power is also very climate friendly. That's another image people don't think of when they think about nuclear power as a sustainable, greenhouse friendly power source, but it is. Nuclear power plants emit none of the greenhouse gases linked with global climate change. That was in the Gazette-Times in Corvallis, Oregon in February of 2010. Nuclear power plants actually have the same CO2 emissions as wind or hydro, which is zero. There's no burning of fossil fuels, there's no release of carbon up in the atmosphere. The only thing that emits is hot air, which gets easily dispersed by those cooling towers, or by the ocean, or by rivers. The nuclear option should be retained precisely because it is an important carbon-free source of power. That was a statement made by the two MIT professors back in 2009 in their article, Effort to Identify Barriers and Solutions to Nuclear Option in Reducing Greenhouse Gases. It's a long title, but what it means is that they researched all the nuclear power plants in the United States and across the world, and they found out that you don't get any greenhouse gases from operating them under normal circumstances. Excuse me. Additionally, nuclear power is very effective and efficient. Wind and hydro have capacity factors around 40%. The capacity factor is how much power you get from a power plant compared to how much you could. wind blows about 30 to 40% of the time, and you can only run river water through a dam about 40 to 50% of the time. However, nuclear power has a 90% capacity factor. It runs 90% of the time. It runs all day, all night, for however long you want it to run for. You only have to shut it down every 2 years to do maintenance and to do refueling. And as far as efficiency, 1 pound of uranium, which you could hold in your hand, 1 pound of uranium has the same energy output as 3 million pounds of coal. Seeing as how the average American goes through 12 tons of coal every 10 years, this is a large point to take into consideration when you think about efficiencies of the power plant. The 1 pound of uranium analogy was found from the Union of Concerned Scientists. They're a group of scientists who are trying to open people's minds to more environmentally friendly power sources. So we have a safe, effective, efficient, clean power source that nobody wants to use. We haven't started a new nuclear power plant in the last 20 years. We need to get together and start changing the paradigm, changing the social mind shift of what nuclear power means to people. Once we can get those negative images out of people's minds, we can open up political and social changes that will allow us to build new nuclear power plants, allow us to stop stripping away our surface of our land to get coal out of it. We can stop the major news stories of the day, which are the Gulf oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. We can stop the global climate change by reversing our addiction to fossil fuels and the burning of them to get electricity. So please, I wish you to talk to people around you, talk to your coworkers, and try to educate yourself on what nuclear power actually is, and what its real dangers are, and how it can become the source of our future for our children. Thank you.